Dead man drifting. Almighty money. Adrift. Quickly. A chill wind. Cold front coming.
Radiant's courier is dead.
I'm too far, I'm too far. Lag!
Guys, you need to defend here. Your top tower is under attack.
Dead man drifting.
Abaddon, please, Abaddon. Long lag!
I'm under attack.
Oh, pantes cok IndiHome. Backline, please. Cuk pingku 180 cuk.
Truly. Going. Yes.
Your bottom tower is under attack. Bottom tower go bye-bye. Your middle tower is under attack.
Don't make me trust upon
Pardon the interruption, sir, but it's a phone call from your middle tower. It says it's being destroyed. Your middle tower has fallen.
wind, sons of frost among friends. Quickly! Arms for the dead. Cold cuts. Frost givers. Not yet. Cold front coming. Agreed. Yes.
Apa ngono lho nang kono barang.
Radiant structures are fortified. Their tower's doing that woo thing. Fortified. bottom tower is under attack. Dire structures are fortified.
Frost among friends. Agreed.
Your bottom tower is under attack. Oh man, this is totally hurting my nose. Your bottom tower has fallen. There is no ointment, cream, nor poultice to heal these wounds.
Lagi kedorong ngecek.
Cold front coming. Does it tingle? Yes. A chill wind. Going. Yes.
Your top tower is under attack.
Adrift.
Excuse me, sir, but it's your top tower. It says it's being destroyed.
Almost there. Frost keeper.
Remember that top tower you liked so much?
Forward.
Mwah! Kiss it goodbye!
Truly.
Your top tower is under attack.
Going. Quickly. Fighting cold. Frosting temperature. Forward. Frost upon us. The frost spreads. Truly. Yes. Dead man drifting.
The enemy's middle tower has fallen. Are you serious?
Quickly. The frost among friends.
To the elements.
Going. Cold front coming. A chill wind. Frost upon us. Cold front coming.
Fortified. Radiant structures are fortified.
Donation. Agreed. Adrift. Forward. Dead man drifting. I'm under attack. A chill wind. Frostbite. Fight.
Lapusnya lewat kono ku.
Words. Quickly. Yes.
Partly interruption server to phone call from your middle tower. Set being destroyed.
Cold front coming. Forward. Going. Frost of flames. Almighty money. Cold front coming. Truly. Quickly.
Hah, ono acara mati lampu barang tuh. Asu kok. Yes. Yes. Adrift. Dead man drifting. Attack. A chill wind. Agreed. Stay frosty.
Regeneration.
Nah, lek gini aku 50 menit 1 jam tak ladeni, cok. Ono fighting-fightinge ngono lho. Hancuk iki.
Oh, that's cool. Like the frostbite thing. Forward. Almost there. Adrift. Yes. Dead man drifting.
Kenapa kecekel barang rikine ku? Ah,
Agreed.
butuh langko-langko lah.
Drifting. Yes.
Radiant structures are fortified.
Truly.
Bang, mukamu kayak kemem download knock. Apa itu? Kemem download knock itu apa?
Fight. Yes. Cold front coming.
Ini Mobile Legend ini. Wah. I don't have buyback, bro. SD on Doom. Nice.
The enemy's bottom tower.
Most sinister hearts.
Those swords.
Does it tingle?
That's a twofer. Been fired into the sun with a giant catapult. The enemy's bottom barracks have fallen. Radiant structures are fortified. The enemy's middle tower has fallen. The enemy's middle barracks has fallen. The enemy's middle tower has fallen. Ha 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 ha! Gold! Got him, Himmer! Oh no! The dire dudes won, and now that's it. Everything is over.
I would love to help you, but there are countless dragons in this realm, and as far as I know, I am the only one who prefers reading to killing. Your dragon could be any one of thousands of truth. That's right, GALAX got one of its teeth buried in him the last time it attacked. Here. Oh no. You know this dragon? He's my second cousin on my mother's side as dragon. He's been chased out of every village between here and Stonehole. Last I heard, he was doing 2 to 5 centuries at the Grief Crab. So his family, huh? Because we were not planning on sending him back to the Grief. He killed villagers I swore to protect. I plan to kill him outright. Good. He's real piece of shit. Zog hates books. Allah, one nature, cok. One nature, 1 million. Berarti enchantress. Enchantress enggak NP. AFK bentar, mandi.
Really, really tanky even when he's in danger here, but I don't know, man, you gotta break this thing in the laning stage or it gets completely out of hand. It's very bounty hunter-esque, because if you just keep winning fights, you just get too much gold.
That's tough. I mean, you even tried it there. Extreme Gaming going for a second time to try and get that kill on top of Visage didn't really work. And more of a broader question, I guess, about this difference between defending or taking fights in off lane or safe lane is you see your safe lane and they want to go and they want to aggress onto your opponent's off lane. Do you as support or as other cores want to be there even though it takes you longer once you TP from the tower to join the fight? Or are you more, they shouldn't really be fighting it safe and we should be looking towards taking and aggressing on our off lane more?
I mean, I think pressure is the name of the game. If you're not going to be relieving pressure, you should be applying pressure. So if they're going to make that move on that side of the map, then all of a sudden you have to make pressure elsewhere on the map, whether it's mid lane or the other side lane. But typically speaking, mid lane's kind of hard, depending on matchup to matchup, because you can't really do a lot there unless there's a catapult or you have like a DP, something like that. So you just have to be there faster. But how do you get there faster when there's an NP in the game, for example, right? So it's very difficult, and I think this series overall was difficult for XG because they're playing against, you know, self-titled fastest, you know, team in Dota. And they play.
I like how you said self-titled. Self-titled, by the way.
Yeah.
No one else has coined it.
I'm not going to say they are the fastest, but like they just played very slow, and Liquid took advantage of that.
Yeah, it was a phenomenal performance by Liquid. No one can take that away. They had a great time here. A 2-0 going on to the main event. They'll be in Royal Arena, and I believe they have 4 days break now. So who knows what they're going to do with that time, but either way, congratulations to them. We're also going to get another team joining them in the top 6. We've got Cloud9 up against Aurora. That's going to be our second upper bracket best of 3 here happening today. But before we do that, we were able to sit down with one of Aurora's players earlier before the road to the international started. So let's see what they had to share and say with us.
Aurora have been one of the strongest teams coming out of this SEA region this year, but can they make a deep run here at the International? I'm going to find out with their coach, Sunbi. Sunbi, firstly, hello, and welcome back to yet another International for you.
Yes, hello.
So you and Jabs have kind of had this relationship where you've been moving through teams, you know, forming different teams, but ultimately it's been you and him at the core. Why do you guys trust each other so much, and what's your relationship like?
I think we've been together since Fnatic, from like 2018, 19, around there.
Mm-hmm.
We have developed a very good professional relationship with each other. We didn't always get along very well, but I think because of the hardships that we've endured, we've developed a really good in and outside of the work relationship that's working out for us.
You yourself have been around in the scene for a really long time, you know, first as a player, then as a coach, you know, you've been around a long time. And yet you're still putting so much work into this, you know, you're still such a kind of passionate and hardworking coach. How have you kept that fire alive for such a long time?
I was never really all that successful as a player. I think I did play this game for a very long time. I think I've always had that in me, even back in like high school. I really, really enjoyed this game, and I really like seeing how this game develops. And it's really fun to watch like high-skill Dota, and for me to have like a part in it is a real blessing. So I don't take this for granted, and I just want to try my best always.
So you're one of the few teams coming back to the International, maybe not one of the few teams, but one of the teams coming back to the International with a very similar roster as last year. Now, how much have you guys changed though since then?
I'm not sure. I think not enough. I think the game is challenging, and we have to constantly evolve and adapt. Have we made the necessary adaptation to be strong, to go far? I'm not sure. I think we're trying. Hopefully we can make the necessary transition here and really do well.
I want to get now into some in-game stuff a little bit. We've seen auras be kind of come into their own a little bit towards the later half of this season, but there have been some changes recently. Do you think it's all right to play without them at the moment?
Auras are very strong. I wouldn't say they're easy to execute on a macro level, but on a micro level of just pressing them, it's certainly easier than like Blink Dagger. And I think they're just a very powerful tool. I think they're here to stay for now, as long as, you know, they're the way they are. Can we play without them? Probably. Is it recommended? Probably not. I feel like at this point, if I go into a pub and my offlaner is not building auras, I almost feel like the game is being ruined. So I don't know if that's a good direction to go, because it's not very fun to play or to watch, I feel. But maybe it's always been like this. Maybe auras were always strong. I don't know.
Who knows? I mean, how do you balance that then as a coach? You know, you mentioned it being easy to execute. You know, when you're drafting, when you're coming up with strategies, you know, how much are you thinking like, you know, am I pushing this too far? You know, am I cooking a bit too much and I just want to simplify things a bit?
The players are, that's sort of like the struggle that you always have, because, you know, I am not them. I'm not 14k MMR, I'm not 15k MMR, I'm not nowhere close to that actually. They got like double my MMR. And they're clearly better than me. Mm-hmm. So how is it right that like my ideas are better than theirs? It's more like a discussion point. I think it's usually we ping pong ideas, and like whatever that comes between us should be good. That's how I try to like work it out, because, you know, I have confidence in myself too, even though my MMR is garbage.
No, we see that confidence come out in your discussions and stuff, and it's good to see. And do you think these guys have what it takes to go all the way at the international, if everything goes right for you?
Yeah, I mean, who wouldn't feel that way? But certainly, yes, I do feel that way. The boys are good.
Absolutely. So sometimes this can be a boring question, but I think for this international, it's actually a really interesting one. What team do you think is your strongest competitor? Who are you looking at?
I think XG.
Why so?
I think XG have this level of composure where they feel like no matter how, and I feel this way a little bit about, well, strongly about Falcons, and perhaps to a level like GG too, but definitely more Falcons and XG. I think they have this composure where they feel like at any state of the game, they feel like they could solve the game.
Absolutely, and that's something you guys try to emulate where possible.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it requires a lot of like skill and Dota knowledge, like Dota IQ. It needs to be high. It's not easy, I think, in game.
Never is. Zombie, thank you so much for coming to talk to me, and best of luck at the international.
Thank you very much for having me.
The coach of Aurora there, Sunby, having a good chat, giving some of his insight. He said Extreme Gaming was potentially their toughest opponent. Well, luckily for them, you know, if they do win this best of 3, they won't have to go up against them in the upper bracket. But for now, they've got to focus on coming up against Cloud9, who is your dark horse here. You've said it every day. You want people out there to know that this team, they've got something for them. In fact, they've been doing really well. They've been able to get majority of wins here for themselves, and I'm sure that you have belief they'll take this one. And that's 2-0.
Yeah, I mean, I'll be shocked, especially after watching that interview, if C9 do lose to this, because like this is the most unconfident I've seen Aurora sound in a long time. And whenever I see interviews from C9, especially if it's no one, like he just loses confidence, whether it's warranted or not, right? And I think that's really, really important in the game of Dota, that you're just really confident that you're gonna win, because if there's ever that like voice in your head that, you know, I can't do this, I'm not gonna win, it's usually going to win out, and you're not going to get those wins. So I think this is going to be very important for Aurora, that they actually believe they can win this one, because I know C9, they're on the up. They made roster changes. Ever since they made roster changes, they're winning, and they're confident.
May I politely throw a counterpoint into your witch's
I want you to do it very impolitely.
You would like me to do it impolitely. Well, you're an idiot. You won TI a very long time ago, and you're completely washed. The last team you played on was Fart Studios with me, so that's a very embarrassing
You're not even 14k either.
And Aurora,
my point.
Aurora has momentum. 23 Savage said that he was worried about Team Zero. This team is not screwing around with Team Zero. They're very good. It's not just that people don't know how to play against them. And he won. He beat Team Zero in an absolute slugfest of a series sphere. And so I think that interview was recorded at the start of the tournament. Maybe they were lacking the confidence. But when you're at rock bottom, the only way to go is up.
But they're not at rock bottom.
No, but maybe they were.
Oh, you're saying before this they
Yeah,
were at rock
maybe
bottom.
they were, but now they have momentum. They beat a team that they think is one of the stronger teams in the tournament, and now they're up against C9. No problem. We're not going to see 23 Cabbage today. We're going to see 23 Savage today.
Well, look, you got the faith in Aurora, but on our screens right now, Cloud9, this is the roster. A lot of the faces might look familiar, even if the org itself doesn't ring a bell for you. This is the X-Entity roster, all of them coming over here. Watson, No One DM, Kareomi, and Fishman. You're a big No One fan, Fear. You absolutely adore him in the mid lane, and you think that he's on the rise. You've been impressed with how he's been able to come back professionally.
I mean, just real, recognize the real. I'm not like a huge fan or anything.
No, I saw you fanboying over him in the lobby. Actually, you're like,
He's
hey,
not a
I
fan.
no one.
He's not a fan of any.
The word you're looking for is
together.
respect. I have respect for the fact that he was able to transition from a mid laner to a carry. That kind of bombed out, failed, and then he didn't really play on many teams for a little while in the interim. Then he gets on this roster, gets another chance to play mid, grinds it out, and I wouldn't expect him to not only have the motivation, but even the skill to be able to come back and show the performances that he has. And I want to highlight these two players because whenever I say Aurora pop off, it's Lornoff from the mid lane. He pops off really hard, he looks really good, and I feel like this is going to be a matchup that's really important. They have common heroes in the Monkey King, but Lornoff hasn't won with it yet. And I think no one, he's either 3-0, 4-0 with the hero. He's crushing with this Monkey King, ganking from lane to lane. Lornoff is still figuring out what heroes is working for him in this particular patch. So this is like a mid laner right now that knows his hero pool versus one that needs to figure it out really quick, because instrumental part for this team of Aurora is Lornoff.
Yeah, going back to that point, like why is he so instrumental? Because he has 2 carries on the side lanes. That's like the problem. That's why Aurora is like one of the slower teams, because they try to play with 2 carries, and oftentimes you see, okay, if Lornoff is having a good game, sure, you know, he can kind of facilitate the greedy farm that his side laners need, you know. But if he doesn't have a good game, then what, you know? And in some of their drafts, he doesn't really get prioritized. They prioritize jabs, you know, or he's prioritizing his own, lane, you know. And if you prioritize your own lane and you're on a greedy hero, you need to farm, and the space maker is not getting a good matchup, then who is going to make space? You know? That's where their problems arise, you know, in their games.
I started noticing more and more what has been popular for our mid laners to draft for themselves or to pick up in the draft is something that can play with the supports. Do you feel that Lornoff fits that a little bit more, or do you feel that's more no one style, or how exactly would you describe the differences between those two teams?
I don't think it's like Lornoff's style or no one style, you know, it's just strategy. That's how you want to be focusing on. Like when you look at the draft, when I'm thinking about my support heroes, I'm thinking about the 6-minute runes, the power runes, the catapults, the wisdom runes, right? So in that particular moment, 6 minutes until minute 8, minute 10, your supports and your mid laner usually are going to be playing together. So you want to have spells that make sense with each other. I always talk about if your supports are backline support, you need a mid laner that can have some sort of ability to initiate to go in front. Or if your mid laner is like a puck, then you need supports that can go in front, like Trample, like Taz. It's really, really important to think about that in the draft.
What about lane synergy? How much does that kind of focus for these two teams? Do you find that they both like to go for team fight drafts, Jenkins, or are they very like, let's dominate lanes and try and snowball off that?
I will say C9 as a team plays entirely differently from a lot of the other teams at this tournament. At the very least, differently from the other successful teams, because C9 is winning. The teams that are winning right now are not picking any of the heroes they're picking. Like they're playing Katomi on Tinker a lot, which when you talk about lane synergies, they're not really like synergizing it with anything. It kind of washes the lane. You just push the lane out. You're healing the creeps. You're healing your team. You're not really getting any kills. You're not really providing that much threat. It's more of a defensive hero TPing into towers, trying to like counter rotate an anti-game. Fishman Bane, setting up across the map, getting himself killed, right, in like really goofy ways, often going for the wisdom rune and just dying for it. But like people are rotating to kill him, and he's making a lot of space for Watson, who's playing TA, and other teams are not favoring the TA. It's his most played hero. So I think that's probably the most difficult thing for Aurora to solve here, is that if they're scrimming against all of these other teams at TI,
are they going to have solutions?
They're not scrimming against the heroes that C9 are picking. I guarantee that.
That is the least amount of crossover common heroes, by the way, that we've seen with that graphic.
Yeah, that was a lot of heroes.
No, it was little. Normally, it's all filled out, all 8. Like there's a lot of crossovers.
I mean, on the sides.
But on the sides, it's all individual, and they're not really going to maybe be contesting either what has already been picked up in the past and proven success, and there's not that overlap of both these teams are going to be vying for it. So they have very different ideas of what they want. I feel they also open very differently here with their drafts and where they want to progress from that.
Yeah, I feel like C9 in particular, they have their own version of what still fits within the meta, right? Because like they're still picking like the auras, right? On
Yeah.
he's just playing, Enigma and Underlords, like his type of style. But there's small differences on like the carry pool. Like we have like, what is it? Invoker. Yeah, Watson's pulling out Invokers from the carry pool, which is definitely something no one else has done. So it's a different version of it, and same with Fishman. He pulls out the Bane, but they're still building auras. They still have the Tinkers in there with the aura strategies as well. So it's just different heroes doing the same thing. That just works for them.
Now this is just our specific carry to carry matchup here. They've got a little bit more of the common heroes there, but yeah, 23 Savage not yet having played that Luna for himself. I'm assuming then if you're not wanting to pick it up for yourself, you'll at least definitely look towards banning it out first phase, because Cloud9, I'm sure they've done their research. They've seen how well it's been scaling in its win rate and its pick rate as well here. Tinker though for supports, that one's been real hit and miss me, and I want a little bit more information from you guys around it, because Tinker picked up yesterday, didn't garner any success, especially for Team Spirit who picked it up for themselves. Is this just people are fixating on it a little too much? It did well for pubs, got nerfed, and they're still hanging on to what could have been.
Yeah, I feel like the lane has been a lot weaker, after the nerfs. And in the games yesterday, I watched Team Spirit pick it. I always feel like they are not really pairing it well with the right position 5. I think with Tinker position 4, you want like a 5 that can do a lot more damage, Like in one game, I saw them pick it Tinker with, I think it was with Treant Protector, which I felt like wasn't really good because you have 2 low damage supports. And when the team fights go late, I kind of feel like they don't have enough damage, to kill the enemy team. So I think that is my concern, when you pick this hero. Sure, you can keep people alive, but how are you killing the enemy team?
Sure. I think for C9, this works for them really well because, like Winter mentioned, Tinker's early game got nerfed quite a lot. And the way that they make up for it is they put Fishman on a, I'm going to go 0 and 15, but still like have impact on the game. Like Fishman plays position 6. I think that helps a lot. He's playing stunners. That makes up for the fact that Tinker doesn't have any stuns. And they stack for Katomi on Tinker. He takes ancient stacks. He often will have just below the amount of farm of his offlaner or more farm
Like a 3.5.
than his offlaner. Yeah, it's like a 3.5 scenario.
3.5 or
It averages out to 4 and a 5.
You have to have a balance in the other positions, and it also helps that no one is playing Monkey King mid in most of the games that he's playing, so he's incredibly active. He's on the enemy side of the map. He's not looking to farm ancients in his own triangle, right? So I think because C9 drafts so uniquely, they're one of the few teams that can still make the Tinker look like it's worth a first phase ban. So I agree with this from Aurora. I think when you're playing at C9, this hero rises in stock a lot.
What I'm not really, or maybe I am agreeing with this, I'm not too sure, is that right now the Lunar and the Wind Ranger could get let through, and I'm wondering why Aurora didn't really look at maybe banning that. I do think there's space for Cloud9 to pick it up here for themselves. They could also ban the Centaur and then pick up the Wind Ranger, which we know has been that counter for them. There's still a lot of chess pieces to be moved around here with this final ban and what could be the 2 strong openers, and we could potentially even see 2 cores as the openers between Cloud9 and
That's
Aurora.
true. Kunkka's out as well, and
Yeah.
it's Kunkka and Centaur that we're seeing.
Do you
as the
think they
two
should
answers.
just ban one of it?
There you go.
Okay, ban one of it. Okay, never mind. There's still Naga. I was thinking, because if you have 2 of the top tier carries, maybe you leave both of it in and you just trade. But since there's Naga, nobody's gonna give up Naga. Naga's just way too strong.
This is a Fishman hero.
Oh yeah, that's true.
No,
He hasn't played it yet.
I think this would be Katomi playing.
You
Well, they
mean
haven't
on
played
the
it at
fall?
all so
or-
far
Yeah,
right
they
now.
haven't touched it.
Yeah, they've not done this.
So Aurora's taking that gamble. It's like, this is what you guys like doing. We know this hero's OP, but you haven't played it, and we'll just.
Wait, this is
Beat it.
your gamble here at TI. You gamble that Shiki can't play Lash.
Yeah, I mean, that was very true, and it worked out. But that was much later into the tournament, because like they already got to like the grand finals without playing it. We're not that far yet. So they're testing Cloud9 here to be like, I don't know, you haven't played it yet. Let's see how good you are at this hero. And they have a read. And all these players have been playing against each other, and not only pubs, but other officials. So you kind of get a feel for like what type of player each of these players are and what you think they're good at, and they're probably just like, we think Naga's a 5. Maybe we don't think this is Fishman's best hero. We know he loves playing these Banes and these Clockworks. In fact, maybe what they're probably trying to do is like, yeah, pick your Bane Clock, we'll pick Naga, it counters those heroes anyway. And even if you do pick it, it's something you're not comfortable on. So this is definitely very strategic from Aurora, but it is going in blind, giving away what I feel like is probably the best hero in Dota right now. I feel like Naga is, I don't know if you correct me if I'm wrong, but I think Dota's, right now, Naga is the best hero in Dota. And that's why we don't see it very often.
Certainly looks like it in the games that we've seen. She does.
And I feel like people aren't even playing it well, to be honest with you. Like, the ceiling for this hero is really high. So far, I haven't seen anyone do, like, triple or quadruple stacking with illusions, which you very well can do if you have good micro. And oftentimes, the micro of just, in general, like, using all the Nagas to, like, get the maximum vision. Well, these 5 players don't play Naga, right? They're still learning how to play it. The ceiling for this hero is very high.
And you have to be able to have like specific control groups. Like you send in your real hero, like all the real Naga specialists, they send in the real hero with 1 illusion, and you think it's 2 illusions, and they use their spells to kill you.
Yeah, I've fallen for that recently. So it wasn't my most proud moment. I'll put that one out there. The second phase of bans, it's Tusk. It's Tusk gonna be.
My boy, 23 Savage.
I don't even need the chat log to know that's 23 Savage spamming Jenkins' line.
I know it is so. Good lad.
Good lad, yeah. Well, Treant Protector has been looking a little cold, I want to say, even in games that he's been winning. Most recently played by Extreme Gaming there, kind of steamrolled, and it's yeah, I don't know where I want to sit with this hero anymore.
I feel like it's reliable position 5. I mean, outside of Naga, I think if you're talking about protecting the carry in the lane with the lead seed, he's one of the best ones to secure your carries farm. You know, I mean, last game was maybe a bit different because you have a PA which is extremely weak and against one of the strongest early laners as a Visage. So you kind of maybe don't see that in that game, but I think in general against most matchup, Treants should be able to secure the farm of the carry.
It's like oranges and apples, trying to compare a Treant in this game and the last game. Okay. Well, Centaur left in the pool, even though it could have been that counter to win Ranger, they still didn't want to let it over by any means. Cloud9 picking it up for themselves here.
10 seconds remaining.
Very clearly going to be in the off lane. What else do you go here? Do you just pick up your other support? Fia?
I'm wondering, most likely yes, but I'm still wondering where this Naga's going. Because like, Naga Centaur doesn't really sound like the strongest lane of all time.
Maybe though, with Deluge and you've reeled them in.
Reel them into the Centaur? I mean,
it doesn't sound that bad.
Doesn't sound bad, but it also doesn't sound like enough damage to really
no. I think it's
anyone.
I mean, the thing is like you don't really get the net early. Level 1 you get Deluge, level 2 you get Mirror Images to block the camps.
You get net level 2. That's definitely very viable. It's something you can do.
This is definitely the Katami hero.
Yeah, you would certainly think so.
So we're getting a Fishman or a Watson Naga. You have to keep in mind Naga. They can still be played as a carry. I will say you have to see a lot for that to be a reality. Whereas like the support Naga, whatever, just get it in the game. Everything.
What are the matchups that you want to play Naga carry into?
Well, I definitely think that Naga carry against Treant feels great. It's almost, I mean, he's a Manta Buyer.
Mirana too, very single target, right? You just don't want to play it against a lot of the big AoE cleave heroes like Luna, DK, you know, these type of heroes that can just deal with your illusions very easily. So if they do pick single target type of heroes, that's when Naga can shine, like they pick Ursa or something like that. A lot of heroes that aren't really popular, that's why we're not seeing the Naga carry. It has to be a very specific situation. Maybe it'll still be open, but Fishman hasn't played it yet, but he's up for the challenge. Maybe he's been spamming it in his pubs. Might actually check that out.
I mean, for Wyvern, they've only picked it one time. They've picked it against IO, Relocate. So here I'm not sure why they decided that this is the right course of action. I mean, it's kind of, maybe they think that it's decent against a Mirana carry.
I think it's that. I think it makes the Mirana carry feel really awful. Any hero that's within curse range of her will guarantee die.
So it's more about like enemy has high physical damage to line up, right? So they are seeing this pick as a block to that.
I think so, yeah, honestly, and I see the Centaur as a bit of a block pick too, because if they do want to potentially pivot the Naga to be a carry, then a lot of the AoE heroes that we mentioned, like let's say Gyro, for example, it's all non-targeted damage, which Centaur loves to play against because he builds 4 bracers and a blade mail.
5 braces. maybe.
5 bracers and a blade mail, depending on the game.
Fishman has played Naga, and has 4 games in the last week in pubs. I don't know about their scrims, of course. And he won the both in very Fishman manner, going 0-3 and 13 in one game with the win, and 0-4 and 6 with the win there.
Sounds like Fishman.
So he is comfortable on the hero.
It doesn't matter,
10
how you get there, as long as you get the win, That's all that
That
matters.
is so true.
Doesn't this seem like a good Naga carry
5
game though so
seconds
far? Like,
remaining.
none of these heroes do very well against the Naga as a carry. I feel like if I'm Mars, she spawns illusions, I spear, I hit one of them.
It is
1
good
in
for
4.
Mars, yeah.
1 in 4 chance that I hit the real guy. Never happens. Nope, never mind.
Now it's no longer.
Yep.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I feel like you either pick up your mid laner here and then you just ban like a Luna Lena in the last 2 for Cloud9 if you want it to eventually be a Naga. But they go to Luna, and it just solidifies for us. They don't want to pick a blind mid matchup. They're giving no one that priority to
10
potentially
seconds
ban
remaining.
and try and give him the better matchup for what they want to lead into.
You have to realize these pro
5
players have
seconds remaining.
insane egos, right? Like, this Luna is crushing every single game, but, the offlaners and the other carries like, no, I tried this in pubs, this hero's not
Aurora
good.
Games
They get
turn
slapped in
to
the face
ban.
by it once, and then they'll start respecting it.
Yeah, okay. That's very true. Like every time I tell my players, oh, this doesn't look like a good idea. Nah, don't worry. Don't worry, bro. I've beaten this hero 10 times in pubs, and you're like, okay,
10
what else can I do,
seconds
Yeah, he's got the confidence. I got
And then we walk out the game, everyone's quiet.
5 seconds
Not a
remaining.
single word is being spoken.
Aurora Gaming's turn
Sometimes words
to
don't
ban.
need to be spoken. Everybody's thinking the same thing. Looks like 23 is doing a bit of thinking. He's not talking at all. So I kind of feel like that means that Mirana is his hero. And they're looking for
Cloud9's turn to
a
ban.
mid. Yeah, they're looking for a Lornoff hero, which the puck ban makes a lot of sense. Lornoff special and amazing with Snapfire, long range damage. Mirana throwing an arrow into the coil, like that would have been really good.
I mean, for Cloud9, they
10
ideally
seconds
need another
remaining.
initiator, I think. Centaur alone, probably not going to be enough, because you have Wyvern and
5
Naga
seconds
support duo,
remaining.
which kind of, in my mind, is a very heavy support in a way where they don't really do anything on their own. They need other people to do something, initiate, and then they can follow up. So ideally, I want to see like no one on something more active.
Yeah,
No
I
one's had
agree
a
with that.
really small hero pool this turn. The Monkey's banned already. Storm is banned.
DK's out.
DK's out. Leshrac is like the last hero that he's played.
Cloud9's turn to Aurora
We'll see if they just like.
Oh, that's interesting. That's very nice. So we are going to see what Earth Spirit against Earthshaker this game, mid.
You reckon that's the easy counter for Lornoff?
Does Lornoff play like these dazzles and stuff that just make Earth Spirit not have a
10
lane?
seconds remaining.
Earthshaker. I've seen Earthshaker make Earth Spirit
5
not have a lane.
seconds remaining.
Not as
It's
bad as a
good.
Dazzle.
It's not dazzle level, but it's
No, but it's very good.
Viper he's played. That also makes him not have a lane. What other Lornoff heroes? Timber's out, right? Yeah, Timber's out. That would have been too easy.
Yeah, that was like the first ban or
Yeah.
whatever.
Did he play like DP? Oh, okay, Shaker
Let's go for the
is good
Shaker.
call.
Choose your hero.
I think
Ayo,
that one
S
out
lawan
of all the
S.
other options I mentioned is just way better for the game, right? Like these Dazzle Vipers are good in the laning stage, but after that, don't offer a lot. But if you can, I feel like if you can ever make Shaker have a lane, he's amazing to just have in the game. So I like this pick a lot.
We've seen Mid-Earth Spirit have like placed higher and higher teams wanting to pick it up for themselves. It's done really well when it gets to that later. It's done okay for the majority of times within lane, but sometimes it feels like there's that middle part where you're not really sure how this Earth Spirit's gonna go. And for me, it's my first time seeing no one playing this Earth Spirit, so any insight on this and the supporting cast, how this 5-hero lineup is gonna work for Cloud9?
I'm only looking at one hero right now, unfortunately, and it's Mirana carry, and I just don't believe.
So you believe in Cloud9 because you don't believe in Aurora's Mirana carry.
Correct.
Great.
I'm only looking at Aurora because I'm from SEA, so that's the only place I'm looking at, and I think they got what it takes to win this game.
Oh wow, I was expecting SEA Flame from Winter. That was a
Yes,
that
so was I.
curveball.
That's why I was like, okay.
That was a curveball.
Very quickly, Jenkins.
I'm with Fear. I think there's a lot of burst damage from Mirana, and she's very squishy. So a lot of eyes on 23 Savage right now.
All right, well, luckily we're enjoying Cloud9's draft a little bit more because we have our Cloud9 coach, Astini, with Nomad.
I'm here with Astini, and my first question is going to be actually about kind of confidence, because you guys have just been owning recently. So how do you measure kind of confidence versus overconfidence?
I think confidence is way too good. I don't care about overconfidence. The more confidence we can get, the better it is.
Awesome, strong answer. Well, I also want to know about your confidence about this mid lane match. Of course, you've got the Spirit versus the Shaker. How do you think that one's going to go for you guys?
I think it's good for the Earth Spirit. It feels like they might think Earth Shaker is a good answer on lane to Earth Spirit, but Earth Spirit will rotate, win side lanes, and Shaker is a slow mid laner. You need to farm dagger. You actually need stacks. You're quite slow in the game, and the Earth Spirit pace is way too fast for it.
Great answer again. Yeah, I'm very excited to see the Lorinov versus No One mid lane matchup. And I mean, finally, just in general about the Aurora team, you know, what's your opinion on them?
I think they're a good team, but I don't like to overthink the opponent. I don't study them that much. I study what we can do and be our best. I don't care opponent.
We've certainly been looking at your best recently, so looking forward to watching this game and looking forward to our casters who are going to be Cap and SVG for this first match.
That's right. Cloud9 are coming into this, and I think they look like a very hot team. They had very strong performances leading up to this tournament, and well, they're now here in the upper bracket up against an opponent that has struggled throughout the year. I mean, Aurora, this squad, you know, different organizations going back to Talon or T1, but like they're supposed to be the premier Southeast Asian team, and it has been the worst year for them yet. No places past 7th, 8th, no top 6s whatsoever throughout the year.
It's been a rough couple of years for C in general. Like you said, this is the team that has stood above the pack. They've been the most consistent by far. Their ceiling is extremely high. I don't think anybody doubts that.
Yep.
But like you said, I mean, how do you get to that top of the ceiling if you can't perform well on lane, get the experience, gain the confidence? This is a C9 squad that everybody's saying they are confident. They know what they want to do. They're picking heroes for them. They don't care about what their opponents are playing. I think they're a little bit outside the meta as well.
Yep.
If you look at No One's hero pool, if you look at how they're picking supports and what they're doing with them, they're not afraid to pick things like the Bane, the Winter Wyvern. DM has been playing his hero pool like the Enigma, the Centaur, Timber, what he's comfortable with. This is a team that's going to do what they're going to do, and you have to be the ones to upset that pattern and come to them and disrupt that. I also want to note that I think when we look at this C9 squad, there's a lot that's going well for them right now, but to me, what stood out the most has been the synergy they've developed over the course of the year. And for me particularly, between No One and DM. I think DM was a player where he played on that OG stint for a bit, and he had multiple rosters before that, and nothing really clicked super well for him. This is the first roster I've seen where he is actually just shiny, and he's been overlooked to a degree. This is currently the player with the highest KDA in the tournament as an offlane. It's absurd. It's over 11 right now, I think. This guy just doesn't die in games. So if he gets to teamfight alongside No One, they have their two bruisers. This is another game where you have like Centaur, Earth Spirit. We're seeing a lot more of these two frontline stunners. These are deadly combinations. They start to roll over you in a team fight. You just get routed very quickly. So that's the threat that Aurora are dealing with here, and they have some stopping power to deal with it between the Mars and the Treant. They're gonna have to make good use of it.
Yeah, I like that you pointed out DM's history, just because, I mean, this guy was looked at, you know, a number of years ago as, you know, one of those rising stars coming out of the Eastern European region.
Yeah, I looked at him.
You looked at him.
I picked him up.
And he had a very rough streak of teams, including your own. So
yeah, I did him no favors.
Yeah,
we knew he was good back then. Like, I'll say that much, you know, give me some credit.
Ollie is going to go down, and that'll be your first blood for Kataomi, one of the players who makes up the very interesting hero pools that Cloud9 have tended to draft. I would say most of the unique heroes comes out of him and No One. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, I think so. I think Fishman's hero pool is also pretty unique compared to a lot of the other tournament.
Sure.
Like, he's not traditionally frontline saving support, which is where I think a lot of the meta's gone. He plays his melee heroes, he plays his Clockwork Banes, you know, he's going to get in there. I respect that playstyle. I think it makes the rest of your team feel pretty good when this guy's always the first in the fight. But I agree, a lot of their games come down to what No One and Kataomi are playing and what they can do in that.
Hero that has been on the rise a little bit, but Cloud9 scouted it early. They played it throughout the year. They have this stint where they were playing it months ago. And it's really interesting they stopped playing it because they were doing nothing but winning with the hero.
I think it's very strong. I think it's an underrated mid. I mean, you want to get it later in the draft, but it can be hard to deal with. I think Shaker similar. Like Shaker in a very good mid Earthshaker game, just he takes the game over. Yeah, like it's a hero that can scale. It deals a hybrid amount of physical and magic damage. It can give you the big AoE presence. His laning tends to be pretty strong on mid with the water rune and totem abuse. Like this is a lane where both heroes are kind of just going to free farm. I do think, as Steve said, the rotation power probably favors Earth Spirit, comes online faster. But maybe that mid game punch can be stronger for the Shaker if he gets a fast Blink Treads.
We can see them pretty close when it comes to CS. Not too much surprise, though, that the Earthshaker is walking away with more denies, just the nature of the totem spam. But we'll see whether or not the Earth Spirit is able to even things out through the rotation power that you and Astini talked about. Meanwhile, the side lanes are going all right. This Luna, though, has been tearing up the tournament. Cloud9 opted to pick up the Luna here, and she's already off to a great start, 19-5. Do you agree with Fear in that this is kind of like an S-tier carry for the tournament?
I mean, the win rate tells you all you need to know right now. Nobody has answers to what Luna's providing. Fishman, no answers for the...
Well, maybe a Fairy Fire is good enough an answer, and he actually drops a Blood Grenade as he walks away, hitting both Q and Jab, slowing him down long enough that Watson's able to pick up the kill. One kill, maybe two. He's going to be speared back into the tower, but he could still go for the kill. He's held that much. He's missing out on a fair bit of play. Jab's making a long run through the river, so Watson's going to head back and pick up some creeps. Fishman does manage to hit him with the Deluge here, slowing him down.
But fate worse than death in some ways.
Yeah.
Like Jabs is not happy about this. Got denied by Fishman with an illusion. We were talking about the skill ceiling of this hero. It is really high if you can put these illusions to use. Like we've seen things like Wisdom Runes get denied, Water Runes get denied, Courier kills, all this stuff. You can send these illusions around the map and get work done with it. And it counts for a lot in these early games. 23 Savage. Not having a fun time on this lane. In fact, I think Aurora are not having a fun time in this laning phase overall. All three of Cloud9's cores are sitting atop the network chart. Feeling pretty about this laning phase. CS is all favoring them as well, and I think it's only going to get better. Like these two side lanes in a Centaur Luna, if you get past the level 3, you kind of only get stronger. You're looking at a level 5 beam timing, which is very powerful. A very fast hero during the nighttime as well. You're looking at a Centaur who, once you get to bracers, you're not forcing him off the lane. They're strong side lanes as they continue to scale here. I think Aurora are going to have to look for Snapfire rotation.
Oh no! Even the neutral's playing against 23 Savage as it hurricanes him right into DM Stomp.
Brutal. Fishman continuing to harass the runes. Won't be able to contest it. Still, you got to look towards Q here. I mean, if there's one guy on this roster that can make some plays happen, kind of recover a little of this laning phase, I'm looking at the Snapfire. High damage early support that can sync up with the Treant, try and bail out these lanes.
Please, ahit lagi, hayu, mantap.
Yeah, that safe lane is struggling, so if he doesn't win this lane, he maybe needs to make the rotations happen.
Echo!
Around, throws out a blast. Lorinov, yeah, these rotations are going to have the same kind of punch as they do when the Earth Spirit shows up. Earth Spirit gets a kill and gets a magnetize onto the two of them and might actually take out Q if you could hit him with another boulder, but Q's going to TP back and make sure the damage isn't done. But Fishman is currently looking to steal a Wisdom Rune.
Ayo Eko!
Right now, Lorinov
Eko Papa
and managed to fish her back Fishman. So they'll be able to secure it for themselves.
I think if you study this team, you should know Fishman is going to contest your Wisdom Rune at this point.
Every time. The man does not fear death.
He will be there. No matter what happens, he will be there. It's just a question of how much do you get out of it versus how much he gets out of it.
True.
Look at the split here. I think Katsuyomi happy about that. This is a support that you get through the early game, he is incredibly powerful and he scales very hard. You saw how confident they were in this hero. Not a hero that's being picked up a lot, but in theory, he kind of fits one out of some heroes this patch. He can push out lanes and farm very fast. He has good lane shove and nuke capability. Strong in the team fight, good healing save potential. One of these backline supports that if you eventually get into the Ags or Orchid, stuff like this, is a huge threat to cores as this game goes late. I conceptually like Wyvern this patch. I think just mechanically the hero can suffer in some of the early games of the pace that gets set up. Like if you get run over on this hero, it can feel pretty sluggish. But right now, you're looking at this Wyvern's net worth. he is living the dream right now.
I guess the thing that I don't like about the Wyverns so much is that I feel like, does Cold Embrace have that much value in a meta where all of the carries have a lot of mixed damage, right? Whether or not they have their own round of nukes like the Luna and the Mirana and the Wind Ranger have, right? They all have some magic damage to throw around, but they're also building a lot of Gleipnirs, right? So even their attacks are throwing in a lot of magic damage. Is that at all a concern for you?
I think it's nice to have Versatile Wyvern, but I think there's another component that I like about this hero, which is we're seeing a lot of frontline spellcast brawlers.
Okay.
Centaurs, Earth Spirits, these types of big tanky heroes that go in Kunkas. The heal's really nice on them.
The blast is not going to be enough. Hit him with the double
Oh.
edge, but a roll in from no one might be able to collect it. No, he rolls past him and straight into the arena. Now he does manage to get off the magnetize. It's not gonna be enough damage to take out 23 Savage, Katomi, and DM on the run. They made a heavy commitment to try and kill that carry of 23 Savage. It seems like he just had too much HP, where they just completely underestimated how much 23 Savage was able to take there.
And no one just didn't see the TPs in the trees. Just goes into his own demise as they're even gonna pick up Katayomi, slay him and spew his corpse over the battlefield here. Very pivotal power rune as well for Lornoff. He's had power rune control and it's done a decent amount for him in terms of keeping the Shaker's resources up on the map. Allows him to make some of these moves. Honestly, this Shaker is having a pretty good early game considering how the lane went. Even gonna get to steal some stacks. This is some extra juice as long as you get
He is
out.
going to be caught for it, though. Kicked over his own Fissure, hit by the ensnare. Now the Eclipse is going to be put to use to quickly kill Lornoff's Shaker and try and chase for more. Now it's Aurora, who are going to be on the run with a lot of catch on the side of Cloud9. Very likely they can get multiple kills out of this one. A good spear back might be able to spare Jabs his life, but he has been slowed down to a crawl. A roll that doesn't land, but a little mini stun and a Splinter Blast slow. That'll be enough for the dive past the mid-tier 1 tower for Watson's triple kill.
This is the power of Luna. She can join anything in the early game once you have those beam points up, and at the same time you're threatening a huge amount of scale on this hero. You start losing fights to Luna, she just takes over the map. She massively outfarms you with the glaives. She takes objectives, buffs up the team. Watson is in prime carry position now. 4K gold lead, tier 1 mid dead. We have seen this before with Aurora though. There's one thing about this team that they do better than almost anybody else. It's probably, you know, maybe lose the early game, but outside of that,
they're really good at losing the early game.
It is recover in the mid to late, right? That is where they always shine. They can push the games late. They can hit their point, you know, somewhere between that 40-60 minute mark and just slowly grind to there where they suddenly turn that game around. Can never count this team out.
Yeah, I mean, we had a rule when we were casting the CDPC was that, like, if Aurora, as they were, what, Talon or T1 back then, it was like, if they were winning the early game, then, you know, that was actually cause for concern.
Yeah, get worried.
Yeah.
I mean, the worst thing you can see as an Aurora fan is a 6K net worth lead.
Exactly. You want these guys to be behind, and they're coming into the series behind as potentially the underdogs against Cloud9, and now they're down 5,000 net worth and more to go as DM's going to take this tower for free.
The one concern with the comeback potential is, I mean, part of it's this Mirana. Like, how much is 23 going to be able to recover with a hero that isn't necessarily a huge flash farmer? Like,
Echo!
Blaze, you can't
Echo!
stacks like a
Tuer!
something. We're going to see an Echo Slam to farm out all of this, get Lornoff to his Blink Dagger. So this is some recovery farm, but again, it's not going to the Mirana, so 22's going to have to make it up in the fights later on. And a big question is, like, how much can you commit into the fight with this kind of lineup from Aurora into multiple saves and just team fight stops? You have Song, you have Embrace, you have a Silence out of Earth Spirit, you have Stampede that can reset some heroes. Like, you go in with this Echo Slam and Kisses, and you just throw a Wyvern's Curse on top of the Shaker. It's one of those old school counters to the hero, honestly. It's miserable to play into. The Wyvern always can interrupt your chain stun combination, bail out Watson if he needs to get a BKB off, stuff like this. This Wyvern's going to be a big priority for Aurora, and on top of that, they have to worry about Naga, who can also bail out the fight. So these two supports are going to be straight bullseyes for Aurora if they can get on top of him and take him out at the start of the fight.
Do you think that means that BKBs are particularly important for Aurora because they have these combo heroes in the Earthshaker and the Mars, you know, setting up an arrow afterwards? Like, they have so much combo, but because there's two combo breakers on the side of Cloud9 coming from the supports, they kind of need BKBs?
I think yes, but you have to get them at the right point in the game, right? Like, you do not want to get BKBs too early here. and then go into the late game having them wear down and you don't have them for pivotal Roshan fights, stuff like that. It's a very fine line to walk. I think the other route is you get more mobility and gap close, so you can find these supports at the start of the fight, right? Get jabs in a position where you can arena these supports, lock them in a cage, then those BKBs become way more straightforward. The other thing is these heroes on Aurora's side are not super early BKB buyers. Like, you need at least 1 or 2 damage and farming items on Mirana. You need this blink on Shaker into Ags if you want to, you know, scale and farm a bit better. Second item BKB is optional, but you're still fighting into the Wyvern Curse, which, like, Shaker going in with BKB getting cursed does not feel great.
Yeah.
It's going to be an interesting puzzle to see how they solve. You could also just go for more utility, things like Lotus Orbs or Yule Scepters to kind of try and control what these two supports are going to be able to do on the side of Cloud9. But I think the real thing is, Katayomi is not afraid to scale on this hero. So while you're worrying about the control in the fight, at some point he will have Blink, Ags, Bloodthorn, I don't know, whatever he wants.
Man, look at the efficiency here. Cloud9 stacking up in multiple areas as the 14-minute mark approaches. While they're still making plays here, no one's going to be able to roll away as the song comes out from Fishman.
Echo! Echo, Papa, eh!
Doesn't approach, they actually wait for the curse. That's what they're going for. They do hit the arena, but inside of the arena is this Eclipse Johnson, who looks to finish off Lornoff, and he's got him dead.
Just couldn't do anything there with the Shaker.
Just kite it out constantly. They'll collect the extra kill, and Ollie cannot run for his life. Dream Protector being far too slow for that.
Man, I always forget that that new curse has Dispel built into it. I think Lornoff felt a lot more confident with Shield Rune sitting on top of there, and then poof, it is gone.
Yeah, no wonder they didn't try and combo off the stomp. Kataomi was making the call. No, let me curse him first. I mean, get rid of that Shield Rune and put them together.
And I think Cloud9 always makes sure they have stuff to combo off this curse. It's a big component to the hero. Like, even if you land a 2 or 3-man curse, you want to be able to punish Aurora for a clumped into that spell. Having AoE stuns, AoE silence. Well, okay.
Well, Lornoff gets his revenge at least, comes back to life, and instantly Blink Echo slams the solo Kataomi.
It shows you how much he is despising the Wyvern interaction so far this game. And honestly, I feel like you might take that over the course of this game. Like, if you can just kill this Wyvern at the start of any sort of fight, even if it costs you Echo Slam, might be worth the trade.
Aurora have yet to be able to take a tier 1 tower off the map. And that struggle will continue as no one sets up to defend his safe lane tower and catches out the Dream Protector, who was left behind. The other 2 cores had already backed out. Honestly, Aurora's not even trying to get towers away. They're just trying to conserve their own part of the map as much as possible.
Did recover 23 in an okay position here, though. Like, you are not going to keep up with Watson, given the start he had and the stacks and the farming power of Luna. But Mirana's doing better than I thought he was going to be.
Stampede used, trying to chase off Lornoff. Between the stun, they do manage to get him inside the arena here, so Watson can't do any damage with his hits, and he does not opt to use the Eclipse to try and get the kill. Some kisses go out, Fishman able to dodge a little bit with the illusions. Jab's still going to try and hunt him down, though. He's got a Blink Dagger coming up, gets in melee range, hits him with a spear to finish him off.
Very nice finds from Jabs. That Blink just got delivered before that fight. Instantly gets 2 kills out of it. I mean, honestly, this is the strength of Aurora, right? Like, you can be up against this team, you can feel like you're controlling the map, scaling, but if they find these little openings and grind this net worthly down, suddenly it's not looking the worst for them. This Earth Spirit's really been slowed down in this game despite investment into the early fighting items between the Vessel pickup and the Blade Mail, these type of items that are supposed to be winning you these early fights. You're supposed to be really tanky on this mid Earth Spirit. It's just kind of getting melted to the totem hits and some of the extra magic damage.
Now, being that you're both NA legends, you and Fear, usually on the same page when it comes to Dota, but I noticed...
That is not an accurate statement you should have said. I rebut that statement just for the record. Do not
a North American legend in Avery Silverman.
Sure, man. Not my words. Just for the... Again, that is Austin Walsh.
Yes, that was me. I'm calling you a North American legend. Now, when you guys talk Dota, usually you're on the same page. I noticed, though, that Fear did not believe in the Mirana carry whatsoever, and you thought Mirana might be one of the heroes of the tournament going into this, particularly since for one of the things you cited was the flex power, being able to run carry and support.
I like Mirana support better than core.
Okay. So you also are maybe not loving the Mirana carry?
I think it's felt a little weak.
Okay.
I think a lot of these ranged carries are getting figured out a bit, so that's part of the issue. But it just feels a little slow to me. Like, you really need to go late with this hero, and I think another big component is you need a lineup that utilizes it well. And there's a lot of pieces to that.
Kok iso skill loro nang bono?
You need frontline for this hero, which I think sometimes is missing. You also I think need other heroes that benefit from the solar flare. Like, I don't think you want a lineup with Mirana where she's the only one using solar flare in a fight.
And she doesn't have that in this game, right? Like, really not that much value in solar flare.
Exactly. I think they do have the front line, which I like. And this hero can do it on its own, but I almost feel like it's an old Drow Ranger strategy in some respect.
Okay.
You know, you want the front line hero like the Tide or Untold or whatever, and then you want the other super right click or like a Puck or Storm or whatever, you know, gives you some initiation and can benefit from the solar flare. That's my kind of gut read. I think it's hard to figure out, but I do like Mirana support. I think it's quite good.
Okay. So you are on the same page with Fear?
No, Fear's entirely wrong, but
no, okay.
He's legendary according to you, so I can't.
Wait, I thought you were refuting the fact that you are a North American legend. You're refuting the fact that Fear is a North American legend. I understand now. 11-6, 8,000 net worth lead for Cloud9. They continue to stay in the driver's seat. They own more of the map. And this is also what happens when you get ahead and you have a Naga Siren support. I mean, Naga Siren just in general, but you know, he's spilling these illusions onto your side of the map. He's constantly getting information about what Aurora is up to. It's very hard for Aurora to be able to make any offensive moves, which is maybe why they're turtling so much. They're also turtling so much because that's kind of what Aurora does.
They're just trying to get to their BKBs. They're going triple BKB here. That's what they've opted for. They're all going to come out kind of around the same time here. They're actually getting pretty close on all three. That'll be a big power spike for them. If they can translate the triple BKB into a team fight win into Roche, that is something that could completely put them back in this game on even footing.
Is this the right timing? Because you said, you know, yes, the BKBs
Hey,
are important, but you don't
minum
want
obat.
to be getting them too early. They're getting them all second item, right? We're not even finishing up Blightmere first on the Mirana.
I mean, maybe they've just felt like the team fights are going to be too hard without them.
Okay.
And I can agree with that. But like I said, you know, if you get these early BKBs, you go in that fight, you lose it, it's going to feel real bad. So you're going to have to make good use of them, find the openings. A lot of it is on jabs. Get him into a good position where either vision or smoke allows him to find a solid initiation on ideally one of the supports or a big core. The power of the triple BKB is you can ignore the supports to a degree. Like Naga doesn't do anything in that interval, and the Wyvern can interrupt that play.
But only on the single target, not anybody caught
Right.
the AoE.
This is not a, you know, multiple BKB piercing ult like it used to be.
Yeah.
You have to keep that in mind.
Which also makes the curse very, very, like, it's a very small duration if you don't get anybody in it.
Yep. It's irrelevant, basically.
Yeah.
But that is something that forces Aurora to pre-BKB almost, right? Like, when you jump in with all these cores, you have to BKB early in these fights.
Yeah.
And that might not happen. Like, players are pretty greedy with this item.
Both teams are going to take their Tormentor very early here.
That's also a big component of the team fight for Aurora. The Grease we just saw come out on the Snapfire.
Yeah.
Q has been building up. This is maybe the most important team fight item they're going to get in this early game. It's the one big aura they'll have. It's the extra armor is nice versus Luna Naga, and it's a dispel for the Earth Spirit that is going to help the Snapfire survive in the fight. So
This is really awkward. I feel like if you're hitting this BKB timing, one of the ideas behind it is being able to play for Roshan, or at least contest Roshan, right?
Ideally,
because you
yeah.
have all this team fight, and they're not going to be able to do it. In fact, they're trying to hunt on the other side of the map, go for Kataomi here, but with his Blink Dagger, he managed to get away from the scouting kisses that were coming out. So Cloud9 will get this completely uncontested, and Aurora didn't get that much out of it in return.
just a heads up Roche play. Abusing the fact that Watson is so far ahead here. 7-0-0. Huge. He is cruising through this game and right on track where you want to be with the levels as well. Almost level 20 at the 22-minute mark. Power of ancient farming. He is well ahead of the pack. Now, you know, everything in Dota is a double-edged sword. If this Luna does manage to die in a push, there's going to be a lot of experience going Aurora's way. But it's a big target to take down. BKB arrives for jabs. He's the hunt here. Cloud9, not interested in pushing too aggressively. Just gonna play it a bit slower, farm, maybe look for the Luna level 20. And I would assume they make some kind of smoke play with the Earth Spirit taking the lead and try and crash somewhere around mid. Just snowball it into some tier 2 pushes, something natural like this. Might be waiting for no one's BKB. He has been suffering in the early team fights and he's very close to that item.
Yeah. It really has struck me how much Cloud9 are trying to play very farm efficient. Again, like every single time on the minute mark, we're seeing multiple heroes stacking up neutrals for themselves to be able to farm. Do you think this is, is this part of Cloud9's general playstyle, or do you think this is something you specifically employ against Aurora, knowing they like to turtle and like games to go long?
I mean, Aurora are definitely not a team that's going to steal your stack, so
yeah.
You're not worried about that component.
Yeah, exactly.
I
Right?
think it's just the lineup more than anything. Like, when you have Luna, you need to have these ancient stacks off cooldown, basically.
Sure, but I'm saying they're stacking other neutrals, and it's not for the Luna.
Well, Naga also is good at it, although Watson gonna get jumped. I mean, he does have Aegis here.
He managed to get off the Lucent Beam first, and yeah, he's got a BKB and an Aegis. This is really just not a good target for Aurora, but if they can get the Eclipse off and still not lose anybody for it, well,
backside of the fight.
Dead. They are still going to go and engage on the rest of
we
the
got a
heroes. The curse! Right as 23 Savage was trying to go for the backline supports. He's still going for it, but now the Cold Embrace is going to bail out Kataomi, and this Mirana is in trouble now as no one's going to try and hunt him down. He got the support, that he was searching for. Kataomi finally died, but look at, DM recognizes Kataomi completely saved that back half of the fight for Cloud9.
That almost was a disaster for Cloud9. If the Shaker Mirana did what they wanted to do there, which is, Echo slam that back line, and 23 did pop BKB early, so he was just going to go to town with Solar Flare. But a very clutch curse hit the Mirana in her BKB, and Shaker did not use his. So this is where those BKBs, you really have to commit them early. Otherwise, they come back to bite you, and not the best interactions for Watson, but Wyvern salvages the backside of this.
Yeah, I mean, you've got two cores gunning for a support here. That leaves the rest of the heroes completely open for Aurora to contest if they could get the initiation. But because of Kataomi's Winter's Curse there, completely stopping the play there from 23 Savage, and then also the Cold Embrace just stalled things out even further.
It's a completely different fight if Shaker or pre-BKBs.
Yeah.
Because then that curse lasts half the duration. The Mirana gets to play the fight a lot more. This is the biggest decision-making process for Aurora in this game, is when you pop these items. It determines a lot of the team fight, and, well, Gabe says this game is very one-sided. I don't know if it's that one-sided, but we can definitely see this lineup powering up for Cloud9, and...
What would you give the number?
Maybe that was 89-11.
Yeah, would you get 80-20?
87-13 how?
That's good. All right, 23 Savage is going to be forced to use BKB defensively here.
That's right.
And for now, the Ensnare does not stop him. We'll see if there's ever going to be an Aghanim Scepter for the Naga Siren support. But Watson, the game may just end before that point, because he's got a minute left on the Aegis. Very clearly, he is posturing to go high ground here. But we'll see whether or not Aurora are able to pull off the ultimate turtle defense here against a 12,000 net worth lead on Cloud9.
Just don't have 23 Savage's BKB. It's so hard to go into the 2 lives of Watson here. 45 seconds on this Aegis. You could wait it out. Just give up some buildings, look for the better team fight.
It seems like that's what they want to do, especially with the living armor slowing down Watson's damage on the tier 3.
This is not bad. If you can kind of push through this period, get your cooldowns back. Still struggling to find openings in the fights. They're looking at no one. Actually got him.
Got him before the roll, but the arrow is going to miss. Tried to chain it with the Gleipnir there, but the animation too slow.
The thing is, this is the part of the game where I just feel like Naga makes your fight possible. You can't find him at the start of the fight, and he's got his first item in this Solar Crest. Everything he gets past this point is just deadly, right? Like, if you get to Greaves, if you get to the Shard, it's so much healing, so much stall. You can always bail somebody out. It's incredibly difficult to team fight into. They're going to find no one. Oh.
No one. On the high ground. Spot him with the kisses. The spear goes out and does manage to stun him while keeping him there in that spot. Kisses will not be enough damage, but the Echo Slam is. And he went for Fishman too. So he's got him down to half HP. The Stampede's going to be used in the arena. Catches Fishman before he can slip away into the river.
No one not happy about that play at all. That cliff did him no favors. Just gets 5-second arrowed, and you're sitting there getting kissed on the whole duration of a song. Basically the best type of setup for Aurora. Find an isolated core at the start. The Centaur can't really do anything to bail him out. Also, he's stuck on the cliff, so he can't stampede anywhere.
Yep.
Just incredibly awkward.
Yeah, really awkward. I don't know what which of the interactions it was, but him getting speared but not actually getting pulled down the cliff.
Yeah.
Right? Because it still pinned him to the tree, but he got stuck in that spot. That happens with certain interactions of spells.
He got speared to fissure.
Yeah.
I think so. Or maybe a tree. I don't know.
I think it was the tree behind it.
Yeah, maybe.
Area.
It was weird. If he got speared down that cliff, it would have been better for him. Yeah, it was probably the tree. Either way, he tanked the arrow, and then your fate's kind of sealed. No BKB pop for the Earth Spirit. Shield rune for Lornov and pushing towards that Ags. I mean, Aurora continuing to grind out some small wins in this game.
Yeah, I mean,
that is their MO.
They're slowly falling farther and farther behind in net worth, but they are getting certain items that could maybe allow them to turn the game around.
I'm honestly impressed with how much Jabs has found this game. I think he's played it quite well, from how tough their position has been to try and find these openings versus double save lineup with a Mars. It's not easy, and he has found a lot of net worth as well. It's going to be really important for Aurora as this game goes later and later, because if this Mars can get something like Hex into Refresher, then suddenly, you know, you have 2 BKBs to play with. You can go and spear somebody and Hex the Naga to prevent a song going off. These type of multi-control plays are something that could break the team fight later on. But you need the gold to get there.
You need the gold to get there, and then that is also some high execution stuff.
It is, but I mean, that is what Aurora is known for. High execution in the late game, until you take your hands off the keyboard.
That is all theory, though, while Cloud9 have a pretty tight grip on the game and continue to just scale up on every single one of their heroes. See Kato,
kenapa kamu melok kanan?
Any of the other supports. You've got Watson, who is just scaling and scaling and scaling, and I feel like he is about to get peak Luna.
Yeah, he's getting there.
Which, you know, maybe at that point in time, you're going to get a little bit more serious about ending the game. This last Aegis push, they didn't even try and really use the Aegis for that high ground. Seems like they are content to let the game go to a second Roshan, which is going to spawn a little bit later here. Longer Roshan spawn time, 2 minutes till it shows up. Cloud9 smoke and try and find a pick-off to set themselves up for a free Roshan play.
They love the Mirana here. Might have to settle for support, and they'll take it. Nothing bad about this. Get to control some of the map. More.
This 23 Savage's Arrow Gleipnir play is just really not lining up for him in this game so far.
I mean, you know what he's doing.
What is he doing?
Psychological warfare, Austin. You missed the first 8, then they assume you're not going to hit it. And then when you need to hit it in the fight, bam. It's right there.
I mean, it is true. Every single one of these Arrow Gleipnirs that is missed hasn't really mattered too much. Exactly. I feel like it's just been like, whatever. They weren't really
Savage playing the long game.
These guys think I'm terrible.
How's it that bad, actually? What? how is it that bad? Is this like neutral creep misses or something?
Oh my god, we brought it back. Dota 1 Legends. Dash HA, hook accuracy.
I do miss that.
A command all the way back from Dota 1 you could use. We have it live here at TI.
I'll be honest, I do miss that Fada arrow number 18.
Arrow number
That's
578.
a good one. That's some legacy memeage, you know what I'm saying?
Say goodbye to my brother, arrow number 579.
23 Savage, arrow number 52. Sailing off the map. It's a bigger map now too, so it sails farther.
That's true, that's true. Satanic almost done for Watson. My goodness, he completes it now.
He was thinking about like Hurricane Pike. I'm sure maybe Butterfly Dados were options, but Satanic just seems the safest here, especially when you have heals and bailout spells, right? Like a lot that can, if you try to get focused as Luna, then you stop the fight with Song or Curse. Poppy, give me Satanic, reheal, makes total sense to me, and you're just gunning for the Roche.
I legitimately like have a very hard time seeing how Aurora can win this next fight.
Hex on Jabs.
If there is an Aegis on Luna.
Hex on Jabs. That is all I'm looking at. This Mars has to make the big plays. He has to find a really nice arena, get a solid Hex down, and open up the fight for the Marauder and Shaker to pop early BKBs and just get in there.
They're pushing out the smoke. Aurora, they are going to try and wrap around, but Watson drew an exact line of what Aurora was going to do here. They are well prepared for this move. They're going to get spotted. No one's going to break the smoke. Doesn't get hit by the arrow. Once again, another miss. Jabs BKB and instantly goes for it. Goes straight to the Luna. They have to be able to burst him down here. There's the curse and the embrace resetting. And Watson, now he has a chance to be able to both use his Manta and his Satanic. This is not a carry that's going to be brought down early. Lorinov goes for the kill onto the Winter Wyvern and tries to jump away, but he's still caught in the area of the Eclipse. Watson brings him down and looks for the enemy carrier 23 Savage, who is out of leap charges, and one Lucent beam cuts down the rest of his HP.
Oh, those beams are so deadly, man, at this point in the game. They just do so much damage with the Conda on top of all of it, and I mean, that fight was maybe not the cleanest for Cloud9. I think Aurora got a pretty solid jump. Embrace, man. Just bails this Luna out of the one-on-one against the BKB Mirana, and there's nothing 23 can do but look on as Watson prepares to come out of it and heal straight back up. No one will sacrifice his life, but that is a team fight win that Cloud9 are happy to take here and push base with it.
That'll be Elena Barracks, and they can back up to do Roshan kind of at their leisure. And if Aurora want to try and take another Roshan engagement, by all means. Cloud9 are actually not going to back up. They still have 30 seconds left for 23 Savage, so they'll go for a second lane here.
I mean, Aurora missing ults. This next team fight is not necessarily easy if Cloud9 want to commit for another lane, but safe play is go Roshan here. You just got a lot of big items. Shiva's on the Earth Spirit, Greaves for the Naga, BKB for the Winter Wyvern. 3 very strong defensive items just arriving for Cloud9 here. Why not continue the siege? No Echo Slam.
Jabs.
No Mirana.
He gets spotted by Kataomi, so he's not going to be making any initiation anytime soon. His Blink Dagger put on cooldown by the hits.
Can look for like a fissure and a spear back.
All 5 heroes back up. They don't go for the spear back at DM.
Oh,
he hits the backline with a beautiful stomp, and no one rolls in after him. Hits a beautiful magnetize on the board. They almost managed to burst down Watson. This time it was much closer. 23 Savage jumps after him, and he's not going to get it. He turns to kill the support, but his life is forfeit in the process.
DM just beautifully interrupts that entire engagement for Aurora, and the spear back is nowhere near clean enough. That is just the game, I think. These glaives are just going to rip through your base. Man, Cloud9, I mean, this is a team that when they get their lineups rolling and this ball starts to hit, it is very difficult to take the 5-on-5s. And I think we saw the frustration in the team fights here from Aurora. There were glimpses of what their lineup can do, but ultimately, you're just fighting into so many saves, so many resets, and Luna, her early game was so strong that Watson is well ahead of the Mirana in terms of the one-on-one status. He's just able to power through these Roshans, put a second life on himself, and it's just too much to cut through here for a lot of heroes that have to go commit in the fight early and either get the job done or not. Very interesting game between the two teams, but ultimately it does feel like Cloud9 are continuing to play Dota how they want, and that is not being stopped.
Yes, they looked incredibly comfortable in this game one, had the lead the entirety of the way, starting from the laning phase, going through the mid game, stacking up more and more of an advantage, and leading to an easy high ground push for Cloud9, taking over game one.
It was great execution from them, getting that win for themselves. Aurora, they just weren't really on the same page, wasn't really sure the pacing of this team lineup for themselves, these 5 heroes, what they were really being able to do there. And also brings the biggest question around this Mirana carry. There were a lot of different options that they could have gone for, and this Mirana carry for yourself here, you said, I just don't really have faith in it, therefore I'm going to go with Cloud9.
Yeah, I mean, it was that simple, and that's pretty much how it played out. Also, we've seen how good Luna's been looking as well, so
true.
It's a little bit of both, where Luna looks so good and Mirana has not looked good. And on furthermore, to add on to that, I also don't think Mirana carry for Centaur is very desirable. You are a very fast attacking hero, and you're playing against Retaliate plus Blade Mail, which is not so the one thing that they did have an advantage in this game for some time was the mid lane, at least. But outside of that, this is pretty straightforward, methodical game for C9. You get really farmed on all your heroes, and you can just walk down a lane with an Aegis, and Luna can do what Luna does best.
I will say Aurora were trying to make space, or at least trying to get something for themselves here, especially in this clip that we're seeing. This was an early invade that they tried to make happen, but I'm wondering, Winter, if they just weren't really sure of their timings or Cloud9's timings or when they were going to be strongest, because they went in thinking they'd have the advantage. The Lunar just comes in, eclipses with the Lucent Beam, and it's enough that they end up losing out on this initiation and this engagement.
Yeah, I feel like in a lot of the engagements, they were like rushing, they were pressured because they knew they were behind from the early game, and execution like was pretty bad. Like the way they were layering their spells. Like there was this one fight in the river. Earth Spirit rolls in to take the rune. He missed the rune. He couldn't get the rune, but the Treant just roots him right away, even though his roll is still on cooldown, right? And then they end up didn't killing the Earth Spirit because Earthshaker decided to not use Echo Slam. He enchant and he couldn't get the enchant off. Earth Spirit rolls away, and those are the type of things that tell me the mental aspect of the team. You know, they're like not really calm, they're really rushing things, they are nervous, and you make a lot of coordination mistakes like that.
But Jenkins brought up the point that they should be hot though, because they just beat 0. So
I think Lornoff was. Like I did feel like his impact was pretty good in the early game. Like the rotation that he made towards top, getting a couple of kills, and then running towards the stacks of C9. I was thinking, damn, like they're actually gonna come back. They're gonna bring back from, you know, a pretty miserable early game. But then the rotation from Watson on this Luna with his ult absolutely shredding the Earthshaker and stopping him in his tracks. Like, this is the weird thing about Luna, or the interesting thing about Luna. I know we talk about it a lot, but it really does seem like the hero of the week. She is a hero who takes stacks, but also is like fully capable of defending her own stacks. You want to run up a high ground into a Luna that can do like 2,000 magical damage because she's maxing beam, like go right ahead. That's not going to work for you. So what do? You farm? Do you stack your own camps so Mirana can farm them? Like who on Aurora is going to farm stacks? They had to Echo Slam Ancient stacks. That's what they did. But Luna can farm her Ancient stacks and then go to another set of Ancient stacks and then farm those. Like you're not going to outpace. You're not going to outfarm a Luna, but you're also not going to outpace a Luna. So what the hell do you do?
Yeah,
what's the answer?
On top of that, the lane, like you're not as strong as Luna in the lane too, you know. So you have a lot of like problems compared to the Luna.
It's a lot of problems to solve.
Now you can pick for yourself, you could potentially ban it out. The supports are what I want to talk about for Cloud9 though, because they're the two opposite ends here. Naga being a hero that is almost always banned out, and we don't get to see her because of that. We very luckily had Purge sort of break it down and explain why this Naga was so potent and so important for teams to ban out. But Winter Wyvern just not getting picked up anywhere near as much, but extremely impactful in this game, Winter. Like the ultimates were great at zoning out this Mirana.
Yeah, I think we mentioned a little bit, we tried to discuss, I was discussing with Andrew during the draft where I felt like maybe they just see this as like a block, a physical damage block, because Mirana is mostly physical damage, and the Cold Embrace is going to be very good against that hero. The Curse is also going to be useful in team fights. I think not many position 4 players play because it's a hero. I think very similar to Trent. You need to play this hero a lot. It's not like you come into a tournament, oh, somebody else is playing it. I see someone else using it, and oh, it looks good, you know, then I'm going to have the confidence to play. I think it takes a lot of time to be really proficient with the hero, know what you need to do. His spells are either you are griefing your teammate or you're going to be amazing on it, you know, so it's very difficult to use the hero.
Yeah, very rarely an in-between.
Yeah, I mean, I think this game in particular is interesting for a couple reasons.
I mean,
and
even
I
though
think
there are
Aurora
a lot
learned
of
a
like
lot.
political
First of all,
stuff.
they got their slap in the face with the Luna. Like now they know this hero is really good and they need to respect it more.
You know
and
what?
second of all, they
I
took
like
the
what
gamble
she's
with the
like,
Naga and they lost that one.
Like,
So you're going into this next game here. You had some ideas of how this game one was going to go for you. Didn't work on any front here. They didn't respect the Luna. They thought that Fishman wouldn't be able to perform on this Naga if he did, or he didn't play, or even more. And now they got a situation where they kind of got hard out picked. The only thing they had going for them was maybe this counter pick Earthshaker mid, but it's too much work for just one hero to do in this particular game to win it.
Yeah, he tried, and we saw what happens when you have one guy that's owning. You just bring all 5 heroes and kill him, and then all of a sudden his game is not snowballing. And then in some of the fights, we saw like Katomi on Wyvern using Winter's Curse on him to stop like the backline initiation. And you know, that's what happens when you have a player like Katomi that has these real specialty picks. He will outplay you in the fight with comfort. And that is one thing that makes me think C9 could go really far in this tournament, is that obviously they're winning. They did very well in the group stage, so their win rate is high, but their picks look completely different from everybody else's. So everybody's playing one meta, and they're playing I like what
iya
you said.
sih?
It's like their own version of the
Lawan
meta.
lah.
It's
Wyvern-
adjacent, it's parallel, they almost like run in the same way. It's not exactly the
Yeah.
same heroes, but just that slight bit of difference that is almost executed the same way, or leans itself to the same way in a team.
Right, like Wyvern is a save support and a decent aura buying support. You can buy the Forces and the Glimmers, but people don't really have the muscle memory right now to deal with the Winter's Curse, to deal with the Cold Embrace and committing on one target with physical damage, because it's just not picked by anybody else.
I feel like the position 4 is in kind of like a weird spot right now. I don't know what the best possible is. We're seeing, you know, Slarks. Other teams are still running the Dark Willows, Snapfires.
Yeah, lane
and we have other teams running like the Tinkers,
the Snipers,
the Wyverns. Like, it really just feels like, at least for now, that it's up to what preference, I guess, at this point. But I did like it this game with C9. Their supports were, these are like hybrids, I want to say. I feel like Naga is super strong right now because she's not like just like an Omni that sits behind people and saves them, or a Tinker. She's a little bit of a hybrid because she has offensive capabilities with the Deluge and like the Reel In. And I feel like Wyvern at the same time also has offensive and defensive capabilities. So it's like, do you want to kill someone? Well, good luck. We have Sleep, we have Curse, we have Cold and Brave. But at the same time, you can be a hero too on both of these supports right now. I really like these types of support heroes. Maybe we'll see more Wyvern in the future. We'll have to see if it's like good enough, but being able to be defensive and offensive, I think it's really good.
Especially Katomi, like this guy last year, he was on Entity. I feel like was one of the people that popularized scaling supports. Like the game that I always have in my mind is that game, the really long one where he was tiny, Aghanim Scepter, Rapiers, and the thing is that was his build every game. Like, not the Rapiers, but the Aghanim Scepter. And everybody started realizing, like, you can build 1 or 2 support items and then build into, like, legit just straight up core items. And if the game goes late, you win because you have an extra core. And now that's the meta. Sure, back then it was Blink Force. Those were the support items people were going for. And now maybe it's like, I don't know, Solar Drums. But it's the same concept. Like, Katomi is really in his comfort zone here with the current meta.
It's quite ironic that as our game times have shortened, we've now lent ourselves towards picking position 4s that scale. Whereas when we had longer game times, you know, the average was like 45 for a tournament, you thought that that's when it would have been the meta, that everyone was going for a late game scaling 4. But now we have more average game times of roughly 30 minutes, and that's still what's in the meta. That's actually still what people want to pick for themselves and hope that their position 4 can have that.
And this is a product of the meta in some ways, where the auras made everyone pretty tanky, very hard to kill. A lot of items don't give you a lot of HP, the Glypnir and the Braces. So you kind of need someone else to step out on the plate to do damage, otherwise the 3 cores are not going to be enough. You guys mentioned 3.5 core, you know, every game. Like position 4, it doesn't feel like a support now. If it just feels like you have a 5, then kind of be farming as well. But the other 4 players on your team are mostly going to be looking to scale to do damage. That is the best way to play Dota right now, and you kind of have to also find a balance between doing damage yourself and mitigating the damage from buying auras on your team.
Yeah. I really like that team comparison as well, if you guys were able to catch the stats there, but Aurora's longest game was quite significantly longer than Cloud9's, as well as Cloud9 only having 1 loss for themselves, meanwhile Aurora only having 4 wins. It was wins that mattered though, Jenkins. You've already talked about it. They should be feeling themselves coming off of that series win against Team Zero. That's also where they picked up their longest game time. That series was by no means fast-paced or high kills. There was a lot to be left desired in the way they executed it.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, there's 2 arguments here. There's the argument that anytime a game goes past an hour, which their 3rd game in that series did go past an hour, both teams screwed up. You are never playing for an hour into the game timing, I can guarantee you. Sometimes the window is small, sometimes the window where you can win the game is 5 minutes, sometimes it's 15 minutes if you won the draft. I mean like 5 minutes as in like between 40 to 45.
Okay, I was going to say...
I don't mean 5 minutes and you win. That's like some nature's prophet. Anyway.
Yeah, I was like, what is this man on about?
But nobody plays for an hour. So there's one side where you... there's the side where you can... what is going on?
Well, I'll say this. I remember last year when we were having those longer game averages. It was like 60 minutes, and so many pros always talked about that late game was a whole different game of Dota. It wasn't something that you could practice, especially not in scrims. The only time you would get practice of late game, that is 55 minutes plus is what I'll put it, is in a pub, right? When you're in scrims and things are going downhill, teams will most likely just GG out. We want to reset, we want to go to our game number 2 of a sprint. They won't actually sit out and come back in like 60 minutes. So you're not getting that muscle memory, the repetition.
All right, my aneurysm is over. What I was going to say is that you have this like momentum from a 60-minute game, right? It's like there's excitement versus like also the coach is going to yell at you afterwards. The players are going to be excited out of those 60 minutes. So you feel good and you feel bad about it at the same time. And I feel like Aurora is the type of team who will probably feel good about it because they like to need something to do.
Okay, yeah, I can see that. I can see that. Hopefully Sunby isn't going too harsh on Aurora though. Hopefully he's picking them up and going, alright guys, our mistake. We let through that Luna. We've learned our lesson there. Naga, we gave the gamble away. Let's maybe not do that. And we're going to get to see exactly what those adjustments for game number 2 is going to be here. Now, neither of these teams are getting eliminated, but they are going to be able to secure themselves going to the Royal Arena, making the International, playing in front of a crowd. For Cloud9, it's only 1 win away for Aurora. They're going to have to try and tie this one up, and it begins here out the roster game number 2. Right now, nothing changing up. Simba and Nigma still being banned out, but good to see a slight for at least the side of Aurora.
Yeah, definitely not going to see them giving Naga away. I mean, you're second pick, you have 4 bans. And that's a hero I feel like it's just too difficult to find a solution to, because if you then find a solution to it, it's a support, you know. Then what, you know? What are you actually picking to counter just for a support?
Yeah. I think Fishman played it very well too. Like, it's a micro hero, and I do agree that the cap on it is really high, but also the way that people are playing it is like running in and maybe feeding yourself away, like giving information to your team. You know, ideally you're doing that with illusions, but that is exactly Fishman's playstyle. Like, he wants to run around the map, he wants to give people information. So as long as you can kind of get the micro like okay, Naga offers so much utility elsewhere that it's definitely worth picking.
No other support does that in the game.
I mean, this hero is kind of funny because like the ceiling is really high, but if you're at the floor level of playing it, it's still OP. Like,
really?
Yeah, I mean, you don't have to be good at the hero, and it's still OP.
She's like,
anyway, I'm gonna go queue up.
Should I play Naga instead of Trian now?
Yeah,
you might have changed my mind there, Fia. Thank you. I needed that confidence. Everyone else, he's talking to you as well, alright, guys? Go out there, queue it up when this series finishes, and look at Naga.
That's generally the case for most like OP heroes in Dota. It's like they're pretty easy to execute. That's why they're so good. There's obviously special cases of like you have to be really good at the hero. It's like Timber Saws and stuff. You have to have like perfect like spell casting. But yeah, right now Naga is a hero that is the best hero in Dota in my eyes. Should not be given away in any circumstance, ever.
Are we looking down to see a potential Centaur picked up for Aurora here, because Cloud9 are wanting to pick up the Wind Ranger?
Mars or Centaur right away. That's what I want to see.
There it is.
Yeah, I think this one makes the most sense. Retaliate against uncontrollable damage, quick damage instances, blade mail. You know, we've talked about it. Even the fact that you can Centaur ult away from the whirlwind and, you know, kite out the whirlwind plus BKB and then re-engage when she doesn't have that.
Guard buyer too. Crimson guard buyer.
Yep, true.
Also, like, I feel like you have to have a Crimson against Wind Ranger.
Yeah, I agree.
Like
And I think the solution for the Wind Ranger is you need to draft an offlaner that buys blades for you, so that you can handle the blade mail and the retaliate.
Right.
I mean, they buy
part of it for sure.
Satanic every game, but it's just like.
But that's like later, right? You're
Yeah,
gonna get it like your 4th or 5th item.
But that puts you in a weird spot. It's like you just have to have an off lane with the Vlads. There's not many, right?
Enigma and Visage. Those are the two I see.
Tide Hunter, I guess.
Not Tide.
No Tide. Well, they could ban 2 if that's the only option you two have, but it definitely helps a lot to have. It's not a great situation to be in. I think that's what he's getting at. Like, you put yourself in a situation where this hero is buying all the items you don't like to play against, just naturally, because that's just what this hero does. And because the Crimson scales now with your HP, well, this guy doesn't even have to buy boots. He can just buy bracers. More HP the better, more damage block. it's definitely proven itself to be a good counter.
They left the Tinker in this time.
And Luna.
5 seconds remaining.
It was Aurora that banned out the Tinker, so they could still ban it here with the one ban that they
Quite
have.
surprised with Luna being left, I
But
thought
Aurora's going to pick it this time.
That's what I'm thinking. They might ban the Tinker or another support and then just insta pick
Bilang
up the
jam
Luna
ambil
for
Gumang
themselves.
I would love to see a team solve Luna. That would be great. If C9 leaves it in, lets Aurora pick it, and then they have some solution. Because I currently don't know what it is, especially with the Windrunner carry. I don't know if that beats Luna.
I don't think
Underlord
Luna is just like unbeatable hero right now. I just think it's an S tier carry. You're gonna beat Luna the same way you're gonna beat a lot of other heroes, and it's just like you also can farm quickly. You have a good laning stage. It's not like Luna's unbeatable in the laning stage, and you're just gonna play a game where that's very oppressive, where the carry's gonna not have a great time to farm.
I mean, you get to see the Gladiators game. They picked Underlord against Luna. Do you think that could be a viable solution against Luna?
Yeah, I mean, I don't see why not. Like, you do buy a lot of the auras. You are mitigating her damage. I feel like it's a similar type of hero as to like the Wind Ranger, right? But the only problem that Wind Ranger has that Luna doesn't is like you're on that timer, right, where you can just kite her out. So that's the part that hasn't been solved for Luna. Like, can you play the long game with this hero? Because she's just gonna spam beams the Conda from 10 miles away, and she can indefinitely do that.
Right, you probably need like maybe a mid laner that can go in and just stop her from doing that. I don't see like one hero being able to solve everything. Like you probably need like some other parts from other heroes to deal with that problem.
Yeah, it doesn't really exist. Like the Shadow Demon used to be good, but now you just get the Moon Guard Facet. I don't even know if that's called, but I'm just gonna.
It's Shadow Demon?
That's
yeah,
it.
but you.
Wow. Stuff's in it. Let me dive into there's not enough space for you.
Gini, kena copyright tuh.
It's very slow. It's like a combination with Omni, which I mentioned before. Whenever you have a 5 Omni, you want a hero that can go in so that you can use your heal and abuse the facet. Because Omni, whenever your spells do damage, you're going to heal yourself. So you're healing the Morphling and you're healing yourself at the same time. That's how you play the lane now.
I mean, I already like Aurora's draft better this time. I feel like the Batrider Centaur lane is strong. You've been knocked back into Centaur stun. It's a lot of magic damage. You can knock the clock out of his cogs, so he can't, do what he wants to do to you in the laning phase. Morphling against Windrunner. You turn into her, you get the Wind Run. You can turn back into Morphling. It's the same concept where, like, if you can get something which works on Morphling when you morph back into him, these are often like the really good heroes that you counter. And the only issue is, like, I do think that Tinker has like a slow first like 10 to 15 minutes.
Yeah.
But then once he gets the aura items that he wants, then it's really fast. And there might be a window there where Morphling isn't exactly like a Morph Omni is not ready to deal with a group up and sort of push lineup that could come from C9. But Windrunner's not particularly good at hitting towers, so I don't think Aurora has to worry about that too much. Not with the Whirlwind Facet, at least.
And when I say morph, the first thing I always think about is like the laning stage, and I could think of a few options that looked really good, and Enigma being the best of them, but that was banned in the first phase. I hear we often don't see in the first phase. Underlord, great versus the morph in the lane here. Feel it probably going to be paired with the Tinker as well. Katomi does like that. Fishman does love his Clockwork as well. Feels like Fishman will be playing Clock or Bane, and I guess Naga if it does get through the pool. So I'm a little worried for the laning stage here, because Underlord has particularly been known as one of the better heroes against Morph. He has very high base damage. You reduce that. More than importantly, you get a lot of damage from CSing. The one way you will win that lane is if you can keep Underlord off the lane, but I'm not sure a Morph Omni can do that versus the Tinker with the mischance that is going to be applied. And if you get ahead, it's basically a snowball lane. If the Underlord gets ahead in the first few waves, he's going to dominate lane, get every CS, vice versa for the Morphling here. So the first wave is going to be super important for this particular matchup here. But, 23 Savage, I'll never be sad with him playing Morphling. This has always been a hero that, when I think of him, as like his comfort pick and one of the best heroes that he has in this arsenal.
He always goes back to it. I feel like back against the wall. Like this is
every time there's a game he has to win.
Pick me Morph.
If Aurora ever looks like uncomfortable or unconfident, he just gets his Morphling.
Trust me, bro.
We'll see.
Yeah, they're gonna have to place a little.
Do the line.
What line?
Go, Joe.
No, I don't want to do it on
Do it.
broadcast. No, I'm not doing it on
Well, that's
broadcast.
23 Savage.
That's 23 Savage right there. Ember Spirit, Puck, a little mid lane is taken out. Earth Spirit, Invoker there does leave Cloud9 to pick up that Storm Spirit. That's going to be their final hero that they want to lock in. And now Lorinoff, he's got a big question. The Batrider could potentially be his if you wanted to do it against Storm Spirit.
Just pick
5 seconds
Quap?
remaining.
Would that be good?
Question mark?
Yeah, Quap's decent. I was also kind of thinking of Rubik. I think Rubik mid has always been one of the counters to Underlord, like stealing whatever Underlord has in the game.
I just like Quap is pretty good versus Storm. Doesn't crush him, but I think the options that do crush him, I guess DP is one of those options, but...
Viper, is that still in the pool? I mean...
It's in the pool.
It would mean that they really lack lockdown.
Yeah, I mean, I only mentioned Quap because, like, your lockdown on C9 is not great either. At least not versus a Quap, it's kind of difficult.
Yeah, it's mainly the Underlord route that's the problem.
And you can always solve that by getting an ATOS early before you get your aura items.
Yeah, I'm not entirely sure. Let's just look at what their draft needs, which, you know, they have the Centaur, they have the Bat. This pick is pretty free to just try and punish the Storm in any way possible. I've seen Leshrax be used before against Storm as well in the mid lane. They have an Omni. Could run in there. You are playing versus Pipe, though, but do that any game anyway. So it might be interesting. They're really thinking about it.
I mean, do you like a greedier option, like Shadowfiend type?
Shadowfiend?
Yeah, just to win.
That's making a statement. I'm not sure if they would want to do that, but
Shadowfiend against Clock is
sekian dulu
rough.
hari ini teman-teman.
Oh my god.
You got it. This guy's
What a call.
Dota.
What a call.
He knows SEA through and through. He's seen Aurora do this before.
Wow.
His first rodeo.
This team is like, oh, you got a lot more carries than us. We're gonna one up you, and we'll take another
We
kill.
need one more carry. We're gonna be that slightly big greedy.
Oke, terima kasih yang sudah nonton, terima kasih yang sudah share, like, subscribe, dan teman-temannya. Kita ketemu lagi mungkin 2 minggu dari sekarang. Dikarenakan hari 14-15 ada acara ke Bali, ada acara kantor ke Bali. Ya liburan lah. Karena 16-nya mungkin kan hari libur, mungkin live streamnya hari Senin tanggal 16. Mungkin kalau nggak hari itu mungkin ya tanggal 21. Oke, sekian dulu hari ini teman-teman. Terima kasih yang sudah share, like, subscribe, dan teman-temannya. Bagi yang mau beristirahat silakan beristirahat, yang mau melakukan aktivitas silakan beraktivitas. Jaga kesehatan, jaga dompet ya, karena ini penting, karena ini menuju pertengahan. Oke, terima kasih. Ya, pindah-pindah.